Hi guys, today I am back for another fountain pen video and I'm talking about a fairly special pen to me today because it was one of my first quill pens and it is the Parker 50 that I'm talking about today. The Parker 50 was one of my quill pens because I was always kind of a fan of weird funky nibs, and the Parker 50 or the Parker Falcon has an integrated nib and I always loved the way that looks. So the sleekness of this pen really spoke to me. So recently I got a second one because I found a good deal and I was like, why not get another one of a pen I really love? And that made me think about showing you guys these pens up close and also telling you something about the history. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show them up close and tell you about the Parker 50 and what I like about it. Okay, here we are with a close-up look of the Parker 50, or the Falcon as it sometimes is called. I have two, as I said before. I have the matte brown one and a flighter. Parker made 4 different versions of this pen. They made a matte black one, a flighter, a matte brown one, and a golden one. If I ever come across a golden one, I will buy it. I have a Parker 65 in that beautiful gold finish, and I would really like it to have the Parker 50 in that finish. So this one is the flighter, which is very famous, a famous color scheme by Parker. It has a golden clip and a silver body. It's that famous arrow clip. And it's a very light and sleek pen. This pen is very, very light. Sometimes it's a little too light to write with, and I like to post it for that reason. And it's very, very postable. So if you post it, it's not super long. Let's get a look at that gorgeous nib. So the Parker 50 has an integrated nib. That means that there is no actual difference between the section and the nib. It is all one piece of metal. Parker tried to make a similar pen before, which was called the T1. It was made of titanium and it was very expensive to produce. And there was a problem with the tip of the nib being somehow a little brittle. So they stopped making that, but they were apparently not done with making pens with integrated nibs, so they made the Parker 50, which was not as expensive as the T1. So this is the flighter. Then I recently got the matte brown one because I felt I needed another one. This feels a little heavier than the flighter, but that might be because this one contains a cartridge. And the matte brown one actually has a converter in there. Same clip as the flighter. Also gold details on the brown, which I think looks very nice. And it's a simple matte brown pen. I'm not the biggest fan of brown, but it looks classy, understated. And what's really nice is that the nib and grip section they're not fully brown, but they are like sort of colored in a similar way to the body. So if you compare these two, you can definitely see a difference here. So yeah. And I think they coated the nib of the brown one with a gold finish. It is wearing off a little bit. These pens were made in 1978, or the flighter was released in 78, and then the matte brown was released in 1982. So yeah, let's do a writing sample. First with the flighter. The flighter was a Grail pen of mine for a while. It was one of my first Grail pens. That says Parker. I'm really good at writing, guys. Parker 50, flighter. I have no idea what kind of nib this is because it is unmarked, but it looks like a medium nib. This ink is a Sailor ink, and I think it's Shigure, which is a lovely ink. And it is, if you align the nib to the paper properly, that is important with this pen. It is a lovely, lovely smooth writer. It's one of the most smooth pens I have. However, if you do not align the nib properly, it does get feedbacky. One thing that I've experienced with these Parker pens is that they are dry and very stiff. I think they're very stiff because of the way the nib was designed. I don't think you can make a flexible or even a remotely soft nib integrated like this. So it makes sense that they are very stiff. In addition to being very stiff, they are really, really dry. The flighter is filled with the Sailor ink, which makes it write wonderfully, but that is because the ink is very good for that pen. So the matte brown, I would say it looks a little more fine, but I think it's just the ink, so fine / medium nib. I'm really good at writing today. Medium nib. And the ink is diamine. Ancient, no it's not, yeah it is ancient copper. I actually have the bottle right here. Ancient copper. I'm not a big fan of brown inks, but this reddy brown is alright, and I think it suits this pen very well. Similar writing experience. Both of these, of course, were not new when I got them, but both have had excellent nibs. They needed no work, aside from the fact that they are super dry. I could possibly do something about that, but I'm fairly hesitant to work on these nibs because they are integrated, and that makes me slightly nervous. But if you pair them with the correct ink, so like the Sailor ink, they're fine. They're wet enough to write comfortably with. So these are some of my favorite pens. They're very sleek and very nicely designed. And I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. See you guys next time, and bye-bye.